Martin's test shaves, bit of an unflattering video, but what I'm trying to do is to work on probably one of the finest razors ever made, a Friedrich Herders, turn of the century, from Germany. I was very, very fortunate to get two from America, sadly without their original cases. So I'm going to have to either find some, or I'm going to have to do a making job and line them in something suitable, preferably royal and made of ermine, however. Right, what I'm doing at the moment is a quick flattening of my rather popular stone, which I've always loved, which is the Professional Nanoir P330, 3000 grit, and Nanoir, very good. So bear with me 2 secs. I want to just say how easy it is to overlook, as I have done, as I think we all have, some slight faults on a blade edge. So I use my little loop, which I nearly dropped. This is a fine little loop, very cheap. As you can see, it's got two little nice bright LEDs. It's 40 magnification. That's only enough to really to see the more coarse failings in the surface. But there is a little tiny touch of corrosion, and I want to get rid of that. And so I'm setting the bevel on a 3K, because the rest of the blade's edge is very, very nice, very good indeed. But you can't put up with a little bit of corrosion on an edge. Not a good idea. It will tear your skin, or could do anyway. So that's it. That's flat enough. Diamond plate, 400 micron. This is the beautiful thing in question, and of course it's got the Friedrich Herders famous heart, and the scales on both the razors I obtained are natural. This, I believe, is bone. I don't think it's ivory, because if it's ivory, one has to go to prison. That's right, in a stupid world. Anyway, the elephant's probably been dead 200 years, but nevertheless, this, I had a very quick look at the structure, and the structure appears to have the little tiny grains of bone, in which case, sort of customs, this is bone. Anyway, let's just first of all set the bevel. What I love about the relatively coarse stones, coarse, I mean, you know, 3000 grit, is you can instantly see a result. So you're getting a very nice, clear witness line of steel on the stone, which is what I require. I didn't bother flattening it completely because let's not be too technical here. I've used this stone hundreds of times. It's been incredibly reliable. So let's just have a quick look. And then I'm going to do not an entire process, because it would take half the afternoon. This is a sort of a late lunchtime revision. Anyway, it is Tuesday, the 25th of August. I can still see, even with my naked eye, but there is still a very slight pit. So now we're going to do some harsher strokes. The first strokes were just purely to see what was happening. I haven't taped the edge because hopefully a little tiny bit of polished wear on the top of a razor doesn't make a lot of difference. This is, as I say, royalty amongst razors. Look at the steel that's coming off. How about that? So, I didn't go to 1K for the simple reason it's only a small mark. Yeah, it's going, it's nearly gone. Persistence. So, a little bit more and it will be gone, and then I'll run through 5K, 8K, 10K, possibly be happy with 13K, but if not, I'm in the mood, I'll go to 20K, Gukomyu Suhiru, all of which means I'm going to get an extremely sharp synthetic edge. And then the next time I do a video, I'm going to do it on the other razor, which is ebony. Look at that. So I've got a square nose and a round nose. These are big blades, these are big 14s. I'm very, very lucky they weren't cheap. However, point being, I've never had a big Friedrich Herders. I don't think many people have. They're very sought after, which is why I was quite happy to pay to get these from America and avoided any import duties from His Majesty's poxy government. So anyway, with any luck, that'll now be gone. Let's have a quick look. Yep. 99%, but that's not good enough. Let's get rid of the 1%. Only, I don't want to be regularly stoning these razors. I'd like future generations to enjoy these incredible pieces of steel. But the spine, the edge of the spine, it's obviously been once or twice used, these razors, so having a tiny bit of hardly noticeable wear on the spine isn't going to upset anybody. And being high grade razors, there was no discrepancy in the overall feel or shape. The geometry was fine. So geometry perfect. Can't really show you with this crappy iPhone. It's gone. Yeah, that's it. That's now bevel set. Not as grabby as I thought it would be. A couple more laps. Anyway, we've got to go through the other stones, so it doesn't really matter. I won't be too long in this video, guys. I'm just showing off the fact that I've got these two wonderful Friedrich Herders German turn of the century razors, anywhere from sort of 1890, 1920, perhaps as late as 1930, but I doubt any later. And to have the accolade of natural, fully natural material, which again tends to point towards the earlier razors, the earlier way of making things. Oh god, yeah. Grabby, grabby, grabby. So let's put the 3000 nanoR away. I always wash them with my fingers, thus. The last thing you want is to have any old contaminated slurry in what is a perfect stone. I should put them in the other half of this sink to slowly dry. While I, excuse me 1 second, run over to my stone pile. And there's lovely Shapton. Shapton 5K. Very nice stone. This one I've only used a few times recently, so I'm not going to bother flattening it. But I will wet it properly. Yeah. Do I drive up a slurry on it? Again, be very careful if you're using a diamond plate. Make sure you wash off. This is silly, it's pretty obvious. Do make sure you wash off any of the previous stone slurry or you'll contaminate the stone. So there we go. I just drive up a tiny bit of slurry. Don't really need to. But what I will do is I'll kill the edge. I mean, I don't always do this, but if you do kill the edge so that it's gone blunt again, when you go to reset the edge on a stone like this, you can guarantee then that it is 5K. I won't do this on all the stones. So that's enough. That's a little bit of slurry. Washed off. Now this, as you saw, was a perfect edge, well, perfect bevel set. So let's kill it. 3 should do it. Yeah, dead edge. Let's get that back, and hopefully very quickly. I always use, on big stones like this, I always use 2 hands. I like to keep the pressure very even. The worst thing is when you get a blade that's been honed by a barber, usually in Japan, and they do it single-handed, and all they've done is deform the edge. You find that it's tapered, so it's usually very high at the heel and very low at the toe, and that renders it asymmetrically damaged, which I'm not happy with. Anyway, that's just a few laps. Yep, back. So as quick as that, by killing the edge, you can now guarantee it is all over. Hopefully all over. Nope. Nope. See? Needs a little bit more on the rear. Just a little tiny bit more on the heel. And then it'll be 5K all over. And then it'll be the usual ritual of going through to the very, very fine grades of stone. The reason I'm not doing the ebony handled Friedrich Herders is because I'm saving that for a natural stone. I'd like to do a bevel set on a coticule and take it all the way through the delicate process, so it's going to have a comparison shave between this, which is going to be on a synthetic edge, and one on a natural edge. And the best, or one of the best natural edges, is with a coticule. Don't ask me which type of coticule. They've all got slightly different variations on their names of where they came from, and I can't remember them. But let's see if this is now truly 5K. Tiny bit more, tiny bit on the heel. There's always some part of a blade which plays up. It should be okay. Anyway, so we've gone nick or rust spot removal by using a 3K stone. You don't need to go all the way from a 1K if there's only tiny little faults. You can get most of the faults out, as you saw, very quickly indeed. Well, a 3K. Yeah, that's done it. So, I'm not going to bore you to tears. I'm just showing you sort of a brief progression, the way I do things, which is not necessarily the best way, by the way. And one of these days, because I like German steel, I'm going to do one, a full progression all the way through and do a proper video. But I'm trying to keep this short, so let's just go quickly onto what I call the baseline stone. The baseline stone for me is an 8K nano super white. The reason I call it a baseline stone is because you can go from this to shave, or you can go from this to synthetic, or from this to natural. But I would love to do, I really would love to do a progression, purely comparison progression, natural to synthetic on the same steel. And both these Friedrich Herders are the same period. This one, the white one we're using today, is a number 49. But let me just see if I can you see that? Friedrich Herders. On the other side, the sign, which is of course crossed keys. This top end, top end. I'm not saying I deserve it either, I don't. But I do love steel, I do love stones. I know very little about anything else. If you're looking for the font of all wisdom, it ain't me. But I do understand steel. I've been working with steel for well over 50 years. So I do understand some of the parameters. That is now a tiny little bit of raised slurry. So just wash off any residuals. Not being finicky, but when you go to this amount of trouble on a fine razor, you don't want to contaminate. So here we go. This is now just purely what I love about the Nanoir 8K super white is almost immediately, look, you get witness marks. You get the steel removal showing immediately, which also tells you where you're pressing wrongly. But if the stone is flat, and this is a pretty flat stone, I only flattered it a couple of weeks back. I haven't done any other razor honing on it. Yeah, oh, that's lovely. It also feels good. I mean, a lot of people rave on about J-nats and obviously all the other forms of natural stone, and rightly so. But there's something very consistent about synthetics, and I love the consistency. That way you can only blame yourself and not the stone, and not its grit rating. But that, as far as I'm concerned, will be an absolutely proper 8K edge. That should, grippy, grippy, grippy. In my case, if there's a little tiny lack of bite on the heel, I'm not too bothered. I don't use the heel when I'm shaving. And as you can see, there is a tapering off. And that tapering off makes it more difficult to get the... I am rolling it, by the way, but it is more difficult to get an even sharpness. Because all you're doing is trying to reduce the blade to a straight line, which is pretty unnecessary. So I'm going to call that it. So that's the first herder, and it's now time, I think, to go on to finer and finer and finer. I'm not going to bore you to tears now, guys. Time is racing on. There's the black round nose one more time, and this one will be on a natural edge, and this one is going to be on a very fine synthetic edge, and hopefully I'll do a comparison shave. Anyway, that's enough out of me. Martin's shave tests, over and out for now. It's no good. I couldn't resist. I'm going to now do the honing of this other beautiful Friedrich Herders. This is a number 76. Big blade, mint condition, ebony handle, beautiful, beautiful inlet heart. And I'm going to do this on one of my better stones. This is in fact a vignette, a la vignette, I believe. This is a very fine, very old form of coticule. It's got the manganese lines going across. It's got a slight pink touch to it. It's a big stone, but I got it at a reasonable price because it hasn't got a lot of life left in it, but it has been flatted several times. I'm using this little coticule slurry stone just to bring up a fine slurry, not too much. I don't want to wear this stone out. It's one of my best. I don't want to wear it out, and I'm just trying to prove a point. If you're careful, you can make a, you know, a really long life razor. So I don't want to wear this. I don't want to wear the stone. So here we go. This is a form of Delacote method. We're going to reduce the slurry. So let's first of all say the edge is already set because I set it. Oh, this is a very good edge on this razor, by the way, but I'd already set it on a 5K and then an 8K. So it's had a 5K Japanese and an 8K Japanese Nanoir bevel set. So it should be very happy. It's a lovely feel on a good quality coticule. Because I'm trying to be very cautious, I'm not going to do any funny experimental movements. This is very conservative of me, because I am very conservative. Yeah. So that is now turning what was an 8K Nanoir super white edge into a very nice old Coticule edge, and that should do it. So I'm going to reduce the slurry on the Coticule to next to nothing, because I think we've already got 8K is a very fine edge, and you can happily shave with 8K if you want to. I just couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist 2 Friedrich Herders razors, both in mint condition. I mean, anyway. So, that should do. When you've got a very fine edge like this that didn't need any work doing to it, why go through 1,000 laps? I think really it's a bit unnecessary. So that's now no slurry at all. So let's try just running water. This is to get the maximum you can of what the stone can yield. And this is a very fine quality Coticule, so I'm assuming that I'm going to get a very fine quality natural edge. It didn't take long. I'll turn the water off just so I can feel how sticky. Moderately sticky. Not super sticky. Yeah, difficult to read. This is a big blade. I'll just do a few more. Wipe it off. Let's try one more time with water, running water. We'll call that a La Vignette Old Stone Coticule edge. And I think for a first run, that's enough. I'm a little bit out of practice with my Coticule edges. I like to really make sure that everything is gripping. It's pretty good. I'd say that was good enough. So that's it. This is a big razor. This is the Herder 76, Friedrich Herders, Solingen, Germany. Cross keys as the other one, but one now is going to have a very fine synthetic edge. I'm going to take it down to 20K. This one, when stropped, will be a companion with a natural edge, a Coticule natural edge. Just have a look at this stone before I ring off. How about that? Pretty big, but very near the end of its life. Very little left. Anyway guys, I'm going to go upstairs, I'm going to strop both razors, then I'm going to do a shave video. So hopefully you'll stick around. Martin's Shave Test, do please subscribe if you haven't already. Bye for now.